Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to rise and join in the singing of our national anthem with Deborah Loren, star of CBC Television's...
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, in all the sun's command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Bud Ulrich is the head referee this afternoon, and you see the rest of his crew as we get set for this, the fifth and final game of the opening weekend of the 1986 season. Calgary, of course, started it off earlier in the week with a heartbreaking 21-20 loss to the Eskimos. Since then, the other scores, Toronto has defeated Hamilton 21-20, BC over Winnipeg 28-17, and on Friday night, Ottawa defeated Montreal 20-11. So here we are, the Saskatchewan Roughriders season opener. It'll be Dave Ridgway kicking off from his own 35 to get this football game underway, and he'll be kicking with the wind. And it is a stiff breeze this afternoon at Taylor Field, blowing out of the southeast. So the Stampeders send two-man back deep. As you take a look at their offensive backfield to start the ball game, Rick Johnson, of course, the starting quarterback and the receiving corps. Marshall Toner is the rookie, and he is right out of the University of Saskatchewan. Rome, Tolbert, and Alexander, of course, are veterans. Ronald Hopkins is back deep for the Calgary Stampeders, awaiting the kickoff from Dave Ridgway. Back there with them, Darcy Kopp, who's into the ball game today in place of Carl Braun, who played the other night against Edmonton. At the 10-yard line, this is Hopkins on the return. And Ronald Hopkins finds a big opening and brings it back out across the 40-yard line. And Fran McDermott, number 29, was there to make the tackle after a 33-yard return by Hopkins, who averaged 19.6 yards per return last year.
Well, that's a really, really big return for the Stampeders, too, because they're working against this stiff breeze here at Taylor Field. As you take a look at their offensive unit, they did a good job of protecting their young quarterback last week against the Eskimos. These are the people that I have to keep out today. You'll see Nick Hebler, the new Saskatchewan Roughrider, missing with a pulled hamstring.
John Gonzalez, a rookie, is playing in place of the injured Hebler. Dwight Beverly takes the safety valve pass from Rick Johnson out to the 50-yard line. The line of scrimmage was the 43, so he's a gain of 7 for Beverly on his first catch of the ball game. Eddie Lowe, number 42, outside linebacker you see right there, along with Moten and Jackson, the other linebackers. Lowe making the tackle, and the defensive backs. We talked about Magruder and Bryant. The rest of the secondary veterans, Walker, Suter, and McDermott. So it's 2nd down and 3 from the Stampeders at their own 50-yard line, just underway at Taylor Field. This time, Beverly takes the handoff from Rick Johnson, tries the left side of the line in behind Randy Ambrosi and Dave Kersinger, who picked up a bit of a nick the other night, and James Walker, former Stampeder, making the stop. We see that Sean McCune into the ball game in place of Kersinger to start. Kersinger did not practice very much at all yesterday here at Taylor Field because of that knee hurt he picked up against Edmonton. And he is not starting the ball game. And we're going to have a measurement here.
Well, Dale, they're going to be a full yard short, and coaching decisions were a big factor in the first Stampeder football game. We'll see if they're prepared to gamble here.
Well, I know when Bob Vespasiani said go for it in 3rd and 3 at the 10-yard line the other night, you didn't agree with him, and as it turned out, that could have been a big field goal had they got it on that play.
Well, if you want my opinion right now, I think they should punt the football. You can't afford to give it away right at midfield with this kind of field position.
Frank, I'll tell you, punting the football is another problem, though. Glenn Harper will really be challenged here. That is an awfully heavy wind if he punts into it.
Well, I think I'm wrong again. Rick
Harper's not out there
in the ball game.
I think the wind made that decision, gentlemen.
All right, it's 3rd down and less than a yard to go for the Stampeders. Johnson in behind big, veteran center Bob Foley. And he'll keep it himself. He got stacked up initially, but I think he freed himself enough and got forward enough for first down yardage. It looks like he's out between the 53 and the 54-yard line now, and that would be enough for the first down. They wait for them to unpile.
I tell you, Rick came up with some big second effort on his own right because Saskatchewan stacked him up right at the line of scrimmage. They're going to measure it, but it would appear to be a first down.
Rick Johnson, who had 11 interceptions last year and only 3 touchdown passes, but opened this season. That's an important stat. 2 touchdown passes and was not intercepted the other night by the Eskimos. First down and 10 for the Stampeders. Hard charging rush from Gary Lewis, number 79. And Johnson is sacked back inside the 45-yard line.
Well, it's the first time the Riders have come with a blitz, and Calgary just didn't look at all prepared for it. Watch the linebackers coming through up the middle. We started up right now. We're having a bit of a problem with our telestrator, but you'll see those linebackers coming right up the middle and freeing Lewis to make the sack.
Gary Lewis, who moved over from Ottawa late last year, played 4 games with Saskatchewan and picked up 5 sacks. Puts the Stampeders in 2nd and 24. Johnson stepping up. He'll have to keep it himself, and he won't even get back to the original line of scrimmage. He's near the 50-yard line, and Billy Jackson, number 45, brought him down. So now the Stampeders, Glenn Harper, will have to punt that football into a stiff wind. Big defensive stand that time by the Saskatchewan Roughriders as they picked up a sack and covered everybody. Johnson was unable to do anything with it but pull it down and run with it. It's an end-over-end kick, and it's not going very far at all. It bounces back towards the line of scrimmage, out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 47-yard line. Riders will take over with fine field position. There's no score here at Taylor Field, only a 13-yard punt. We'll be right back. No score here at Taylor Field, first quarter, and the Saskatchewan Roughrider offense will have the football for the first time in 1986. Joe Pow, who has a wonky knee now, he got hurt in the very first preseason game against the BC Lions back on June 7th, and he did not play at all in the second half of that game or in preseason game number 2. So it's been a while since Pow has been out and involved in a football game. As you take a look at the Roughrider receiving corps as well, and the coaches are very pleased with that foursome. First down Riders from their own 47-yard line. Flags at the line of scrimmage. Pow is almost picked off by Larry Hogue immediately. The intended receiver was Ray Elgard down the middle. We'll check on the penalty markers at the line. It looks like offside Calgary.
Satelli, the new young linebacker, number 13, was one of the Stampeders that jumped offside. I believe there was 2. And the Stamps have had a little bit of problem with that in their first 2 ball games, jumping offside, a little over anxious.
First down repeated.
Bud Ulrich with the call. Elvis Satelli charged for offside. Offensive line for Saskatchewan. New starter there at center. Mike Anderson replacing Willie Thomas, a former Stampeder. Thomas went to Toronto along with Craig Ellis in that deal a week ago. Here's the new running back, Bobby Johnson, on 1st and 5, and he's got a first down into Calgary Stampeder territory. Middle linebacker Eric Emery moved over to make the stop, but Bobby Johnson is a good-looking young running back out of San Jose State.
Bill Anderson, the offensive center, who is new in there, is blocking against number 99, Hallman, who we told you has such great mobility. Watch the job the young guy does. That's an excellent block by a young center, taking that nose guard on all by himself.
All right, back to the live action. First down Riders. Fumble on the play. Pow with the pitch to Johnson, and Johnson couldn't handle it. Fortunately, the quarterback got to it before Elvis Satelli did, but there will be a loss on the play of about 6 yards.
Didn't look like that ball was thrown badly by Joe. It was just not handled well by the young running back of San Jose State.
So look at the Calgary defensive front four. Vince Goldsmith, the former Saskatchewan Roughrider. Allman and Laird on the right side. They're the guys that had the big game against Edmonton. 4 sacks each. Stepping up is Pow, finding Zeno all alone, but he can't hang on to the football. And moving over was Ken Miller to knock him down, number 21. But there's a penalty marker down, and it looks like the Stampeders have been called for roughing the passer.
It'll be number 99, Hallman, who hits Pow after the ball is gone. Look at it right here. The ruling this year has not really changed as far as protecting the quarterback. It's just being interpreted different. You've got to try to avoid contact if you can.
Roughing the passer, Calgary number 99, first down.
Harold Holman wondering what's going on today. He had a couple sacks by this time the other night, didn't he? Defensive backs for the Stampeders. Greg Peterson, of course, replacing the now departed Daryl Moyer at safety, and the rest are veterans. Peterson, of course, in his third year. Little hit screen to Derek Zeno, and he has trouble hanging on to that pass from Pow Pow. And we have Hallman and Mike Anderson going after each other. A couple of young guys. Anderson making his first start at center for the Riders, and Hallman, of course, the rookie out of Auburn.
That's a pretty good matchup. Alday gave Anderson a little help on that play.
Actually, Joe's throwing the football pretty good, I think. The coaches were saying before the game it's almost as hard to throw with the wind as against the wind when it's this heavy because the ball will sail a lot. But Joe seems to have fairly good control.
So it's second down and 10 from the Stampeder 42. Straight drop. Pow Pow looking for Elarms. And he just couldn't quite connect at the 15-yard line. Elarms with the inside move against Mel Jenkins, and he was open.
The ball just a little bit underthrown.
I thought it was catchable. I thought it was catchable, Frank.
Sure looked like it. I think the one pitch and 3 passes now. Joe Pow Pow's receivers have let him down. So it'll be a 49-yard field goal attempt for David Ridgway, with Glenn Suter doing the holding. Kick is up. It is wide to the right, but it'll go for a single point. In the end zone is Darcy Kopp dancing around with it, and all he's doing is wasting some time here in the first quarter because the Stampeders, of course, are going against the wind. But it is now 1-0 Saskatchewan leading the Calgary Stampeders. We'll be back in just a moment. Quarter, Saskatchewan with a single point on the wide field goal attempt by Dave Ridgway. And so the Calgary Stampeder offense back out there for just the second time in the ball game. First down from the 42-yard line, which of course was the line of scrimmage on the field goal attempt. Rick Johnson at the controls, and he has Dwight Beverly and Greg Fieger in the backfield with him. Receivers Tag Rowe, Marshall Toner, Ray Alexander, and Emmanuel Tolbert. That's Fieger moving slightly in motion forward. Now Johnson throwing to a wide open area, and Emmanuel Tolbert just couldn't get to it after working in behind Eddie Ray Walker along the sidelines.
Johnson looked pretty cool back there directing the veteran Tolbert to break upfield on the play. Tolbert had 8 catches for 125 yards in the opener. A great start for the leading receiver of 1985 for the Stampeders.
51-yard touchdown against the Eskimos helped the Stampeders go back in front in that game the other night. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold it. It's second down and 10, and Johnson gives to Beverly, and nowhere to go. He is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. John Gonzalez, number 57, a rookie defensive end out of Oregon State, who is playing in place of Nick Hebler, teamed up with Gary Lewis to bring down Beverly. James Walker, number 75, also in there, the former Stampeder, who is playing his very first game for Saskatchewan. The Riders picking him up after cutdown day, and the Stampeders released him. So now Glenn Harper in to punt. His first effort into that wind went 13 yards. This one will hang up. He tried to keep it low, but that wind is strong, and waiting for it is Derek Zeno. Spolatini, number 61, and Greg Fieger, number 7, there to greet him at the 40-yard line. So the Roughriders quickly get the ball back. That was a 33-yard punt and a 5-yard return. We have 8:02 left to go in the first quarter. Saskatchewan leads it 1-0 on a single by David Ridgway.
Dale, number 65, Neil Coulter, the offensive guard, is playing under some problems. He spent the night in the hospital with the flu, but toughed it out, came out, and he's playing in the football game, but not feeling up to scratch by any means.
Thank you, Al. It's first down Riders, and the draw play to Denny Ferdinand, and he is wrapped up by Vince Goldsmith. Goldsmith came up with the football, but the referees ruled the play dead. Goldsmith, of course, former Rough Rider and a Shenley Award winner as Rookie of the Year in '81 when he was with Saskatchewan.
Well, he looked like quite a find when we first saw him here at Taylor Field, did he not, Dale? And he's had a great career, and I think he's in the position he wants to be in, that stand-up outside linebacking spot.
The gain is not quite 2 yards for Denny Ferdinand. Second down, long 8. Dumping it across the middle to Bobby Johnson. He's got a first down, and he's caught from behind by Mel Jenkins, number 28. But it's going to be a first down for the Riders up at their 53-yard line, a pickup of 12.
I'll tell you what, Dale, the Riders are doing an excellent job of pass protection so far. They are keeping that Calgary defensive line out of there. I think Calgary's going to have to start bringing some linebackers the odd time. They're trying to force Paw with just a 4-down lineman.
Talking to the Riders during the week, they were not that concerned with the Calgary rush as Paw completes it to Derek Zeno, to Michael Elarms, who hangs on this time. Ronald Hopkins wraps him up. Roughriders feel their strength is their offensive line, and they weren't concerned that Calgary's rush would get to Paw the way it got to Dunnigan.
Of course, they got Skullroot with 13 years of experience and Aldag with 11 on that left side, and those are the two guys that will be facing Hallman and Laird, who had a combined 8 sacks against Edmonton. So they've got strength against strength there, Dale.
And, of course, on the other side, you got Neil Quilter, who's an 8-year pro, and Vic Stevenson, 5 years out of the University of Calgary. The only newcomer is Mike Anderson. He's a 3rd-year pro, so they do have great experience along the offensive line. Denny Ferdinand with the handoff from Paw on a 2nd down and 5 situation. He's inside the Calgary 50, down to about the 47, 48-yard line. Larry Hogue made the stop on Ferdinand. The Rough Riders be looking at 3rd down and a good yard to go.
Good hustle by Hogue, coming down on the proper angle to help on the tackle. The Saskatchewan Roughriders now will gamble for the first down, or for the first time on 3rd down, as they have a little over a yard.
Bobby Johnson busts it inside the 35, and I think the Stampeders were offside anyway, so the Roughriders will maintain possession. Greg Peterson, the safety, making the tackle. Johnson picking up 14 yards. And that's exactly what they wanted from Johnson. They figured they were a better running ball club with Johnson than with Ellis.
Well, Johnson's not a real big guy.
Calgary, number 21 on the defense. Decline, first down.
He's about 190 pounds, 6 feet, but he does run strong, Dale. He's got the big size, and he's the guy they want to give the football to on short yardage.
LA Raiders released him last year, and that's when he came to Saskatchewan, and they tell me the Raiders have called. They want to know his status. If he wasn't going to make it, they wanted to bring him back to this year's camp in Los Angeles. Johnson giving the Riders a first down at the Calgary 34. Pow to Michael Elarms. Now it's speed. Elarms is inside the 25. He's very close to a first down. Anthony Woodson and Mel Jenkins closed on him, and they may have stopped him just short of the first down.
Boy, wide open as once again Pow just sitting back there and able to take a long look at that defensive alignment. No pressure at all. Looked like the linebacker over there, Anthony Woodson, might have slipped just a little bit, trying to come up and provide the underneath coverage. Looks like it's going to be just short of a first down, which is probably good for Saskatchewan. They've got a waste down here that they can go ahead and try to put it in the end zone.
Pow's first 3 passes were dropped by his receivers. Now he's completed 3 in a row. So it's 2nd and a little bit for the Rough Riders. Head coach Jack Goto, offensive line coach Jim Gilstrap with the headset on. First quarter action at Taylor Field. The Riders in front 1-0, threatening to add more. Bobby Johnson looked like he was going to be tripped up shy of the line of scrimmage, but he stepped out of the grasp of 1 or 2 would-be tacklers and picks up a first down near the 23-yard line. Larry Hogue made the tackle for the Stampeders. So it's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan from the Calgary 23. You see big Laurie Skullroot plays left tackle.
First down's on the 20.
Johnson will go around the right side. Pow looking for Tony Dennis. Touchdown! What a catch! Over the outstretched hands of Kenny Miller, who was the
Calgary Stampeder defensive back beaten by the Eskimos on the last play of the game Tuesday. And T.D. Dennis, as he's nicknamed, gets the first major score for the Riders in 1986.
Tony Dennis is going to keep that football. That is his first touchdown in the CFL, even though he's in his second year. But he only played 6 games in 1985 after being a third-round draft choice. And he gives the Saskatchewan Roughriders a 7-0 lead. Dave Ridgway makes it 8-0 with 4:15 remaining in the first quarter. Saskatchewan leads it over Calgary. We'll be back in just a moment.
This weekend, Paramount Pictures invites you.
Calgary Stampeders 8-0 after a touchdown by Tony Dennis on the pass from Joe Powell covering 23 yards. And they kept the ball for 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and they traveled 71 yards in 9 plays. The kickoff from Ridgway to Kopp at the 5-yard line. Ooh, he stopped shy of the 30. Ball popped loose, but the Stampeders give it back. Sean McEwen, number 65, and Ronald Hopkins, number 15, are both there to make sure they maintain possession of the football. 24-yard return, and then Kopp was popped at the 26-yard line, 1st and 10.
77, Alan Johns looked like he was the one that popped the punt returner and knocked that football loose. That could have been a big break. 4 minutes remaining now in this first quarter.
Darcy Kopp at the bench now. He's shaken up just a little bit, but looks like he'll be all right. First down for the Stampeders. Johnson going for Tolbert, knocked down by Eddie Ray Walker, who may be called for interference. Looked like he grabbed onto the back of Tolbert's jersey just as the ball was being put in the air by Johnson.
Well, fans here at Taylor Field are not very happy about it, but that won't make much difference.
Saskatchewan number 2, first down play.
Well, no question that he had a hold of him. That right hand was pulling the jersey away.
Rookie head coach Bob Vespasiani looking on.
I thought we agreed to call him Bobby V.
Okay, we'll do that. That's a lot easier for me, too. Ray Walker called for interference, gives the Stampeders first down at their own 31-yard line. Over the head of Tag Rome. Johnson had looked right, threw back left. Trent Bryant, number 17, one of the new corners for Saskatchewan, the man providing coverage against Tag Rome, and Rome really didn't have a chance to catch that football. It was well overthrown.
Well, he's only 5'8", but had he been 6'8", I don't think he still could have got that one.
Trent Bryant, a 6-year pro out of Arkansas. He spent quite a bit of time in the NFL and the USFL, and the Riders signed him out of a free agent camp in Shreveport, Louisiana this past March. Second down and 10. Here comes the safety blitz. Bumping going on. Another flag is down. Trent Bryant and Ray Alexander collided. Alexander went down, and there is a penalty marker thrown.
You know, I think that was unintentional by Bryant, but he did knock the receiver down. 2 pass interference calls of
Forward pass interference. Saskatchewan number 17, first down.
kept the Stampeders alive, and they desperately like to just keep possession of this football for the next 3 minutes if they could, working against a very stiff breeze here at Taylor Field.
They're at their own 47-yard line. They have not been in Saskatchewan territory yet in this first quarter. Johnson with the deep drop, setting up the screen, and Dwight Beverly is stopped immediately by Billy Jackson. They call him the hitman on the Saskatchewan defense. 4-yard loss as Jackson reacted very quickly as they set up the screen.
Loss of 4 on the play, second down and 14.
You know, it seems like Saskatchewan over the last few years has always been able to come up with excellent linebackers, and they lose one, they come up with 1 or 2 more all the time. And Billy Jackson and Eddie Lowe, I think, are as good a pair on the outside as anybody in the country.
And Gary Moulton very strong in the middle. They brought 11 backers to training camp. 8 of them were CFL veterans, including Moulton. John Pointer, they traded for, couldn't make this club. Johnson's in trouble. Rick Goltz has a sack way back at the 27-yard line. Saskatchewan's defense taking over domination of the game, the way Calgary dominated the other night. A loss of 16.
Well, that's a big one, too, because field possession's so important here this afternoon. And Rick Goltz, who Nick Hepler is so happy to be reunited with, spending some time, both of them with BC, gets the first big sack for the Riders. And Goltz is a big one, 265 pounds.
Oh, another short punt by Harper. It's taken by Fran McDermott, and he just makes sure he has the football at the 50-yard line.
Good play, good play.
It fooled him. That wind played all kinds of tricks with that punt. Woodson was there to make sure he stayed down. But
he didn't let the ball get on the ground, though, Dale, and roll around and maybe go another 10 or 15 yards. He put the Riders in excellent field position with 1:18 remaining in this first quarter.
24-yard punt that time for Harper, and he's finding out what it's like to kick in the CFL on the prairies. First down for the Riders at the Calgary 49-yard line. Bobby Johnson inside the 45 to about the 44. He has a gain of 5 yards on the play.
You know, I've been watching this young Mike Anderson, and he's really doing a good job in there. And Vic Stevenson as well. Watch Vic Stevenson, number 62 on the right side. He ties up Belleville and creates the hole for the running back. He just pins him right at the line of scrimmage. Although he does get driven back, he tied him up for long enough, and the gain is almost 6.
Stu Laird getting over there to make the tackle. The pass goes incomplete. Tony Dennis and Ray Elgard were both in the area. I don't know if they were trying to pick or what. Larry Hogue is complaining to one of the officials, but it brings up a third down. And above 4.5 yards to go. Dwight Beverly having his right knee checked out at the Stampeder bench.
Dale, Saskatchewan, of course, will have to settle for a 3-point try here. They would have dearly loved to get a touchdown. They're in the last minute, and they realize Calgary gets the hurricane for the next 15 minutes.
That wind was gusting out to, what, 50, 60 kilometers?
And it hasn't abated at all, Dale.
So Jerry McGrath will punt. They're out of Ridgway's field goal range, and he just aims it high and into the end zone. Good punt.
Oh, he's going to run it out.
Oh, no.
Why would he do that?
Decision by Darcy Cox. Now we have a penalty flag down. Upfield a little bit. A 54-yard punt, which should have gone for a single, but Kopp brought it out to the 1-yard line.
The only thing is, Dale, they might be able to kill the remaining 30 seconds before they have to kick and get the wind to kick with. But you're right. I was surprised, Dale, that Ridgway didn't try a field goal. It seems to me this is the kind of day you could kick an 80-yard field goal.
That's true, except he missed one from 49 earlier, so.
I'll tell you something, Dale. You can't blame the youngster Kopp for a decision like that. That's got to come from the coaching staff, and they've got to tell him, get down and give that single point. We can't afford to start off on our own 1-yard line, even if they do have the win.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, 58 Saskatchewan. First down.
Well, they got a break on an unnecessary roughness call. It's going to give them a little more breathing room.
Jerry Moten, the Riders' middle linebacker. So the Stampeders will be 1st and 10 at their 16-yard line instead of being on their 1. And we have 30 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. The Stamps still going into the teeth of that wind. Now we have the officials discussing possibly where that ball should be placed. Now they put it at the 17-yard line.
Well, it's a 15-yard penalty, so the ball was dead at just about the 2-yard line.
Quarterback Rick Johnson hasn't been able to get much going offensively at all here in the first quarter. Saskatchewan defense has been tough. First down. Throws quickly. Tag Rome, the intended receiver. The pass a little bit behind him, and he tried to turn right around and make the catch. Unfortunately, unable to hang on. Bryant providing the coverage. 2nd and 10.
I'll tell you what, they better not run this second down play too quickly. There's still 14 seconds remaining on that clock, and if they don't pick up a first down, they'll have to kick it against the wind again.
Clock is running now.
Well, they should be able to burn it out here unless there's a penalty.
Johnson is sacked for the 3rd time in the first quarter. Fran McDermott with the halfback blitz. And we haven't seen Saskatchewan run a halfback blitz for a long time. And they've had 2 of them here in the first quarter. This one was successful.
Boy, was it ever. The sack puts the Stampeders all the way back to their 10-yard line. They will have the win advantage when we come back to the second quarter. But after the first 15 minutes, the Riders lead 8-0 over the Stampeders.
quarter, and the Stampeders, Glenn Harper's just punted out of his end zone, and the Roughriders newcomer Greg Holmes, number 82, on the return, gets it to the Stampeder 48-yard line. It was a 60-yard punt and a 12-yard return. Now, first quarter statistics. Take a look at the net yards. Stampeders minus 20, working against a fired-up Saskatchewan defense and a strong win. Saskatchewan was 73 yards and a touchdown. They lead at 8-0. Now the Riders are going against that win, but they have great field position at the Stampeder 48. Hand off to Bobby Johnson. He squirms free, and he'll pick up some yardage when it looked like he might be stopped in the backfield. The ball flopped loose, and the Stampeders have got it. They had 5 fumble recoveries against the Eskimos earlier in the week, and they come up with one here now at their own 45. Albus Satelli.
Covered by Calgary 13.
Well, that's what happens sometimes when you come up with a big second effort. Turnover that puts the Calgary Stampeders all of a sudden in great field position, whereas Saskatchewan had the ball at the 50.
First down for Calgary at the 45-yard line. Johnson looking for Ray Alexander, and that one is overthrown. And Alexander's a big target at 6'4", but Johnson's had trouble here in this first half with overthrowing his receiver.
I think that one sailed on him a little in the wind, Dale, didn't you?
I'm sure it did. I know Rick has got a strong arm, but there's an awfully strong wind blowing up there, and it's going to do crazy things with the football as Albus Satelli relaxes on the bench following the fumble recovery.
Certainly, Big Ray Alexander at 6'3½" was wide open on the play.
So it's second down and 10. Johnson with good protection and a penalty marker down. The ball is loose after a great hit on Ray Alexander by Glenn Suter. The safety turns the ball back over to Saskatchewan, but there is a penalty marker down. It's holding against Calgary. Saskatchewan will have the football.
Boy, you're right, Dale. The third-year pro from SFU, Glenn Suter, just puts it on him. Watch this.
Covered by Saskatchewan, first down.
The Riders were thinking, Frank, of making a change at safety this year because they just didn't feel like Glenn Suter played well in 1985 and wasn't very physical. But he reported to camp and was hitting everybody and everything that moved just like that. His nickname is Pup. Third-year pro Glenn Suter, the safety for Saskatchewan, gives the ball back to the Riders at the Calgary 53. Papa down the middle. Ray Elgard, first catch of 1986. First down at the 35-yard line. Anthony Woodson making the tackle. A gain of 18.
But Joe didn't look like the wind affected him all on that one. He just rifled it right over the middle. Good throw.
I mentioned the Riders had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and it's showing, whereas the Stampeders, of course, are coming in here with pretty well just 4 days of preparation time after their opener on Tuesday. The Riders much the sharper of the two teams so far. Pau trying to go to Tony Dennis. He overthrows him at the 30-yard line. Second down and 10. The line of scrimmage is the Calgary 35.
Dale, as we talked about in the pregame show, even the Stampeder coaching staff didn't know how their young ball club was going to react after that last-minute loss to the Edmonton Eskimos. And so far, it looks like it's taken a lot out of them. They look very flat out there today. Bob
Foley, I talked to him yesterday, admitted that the team was really down for a couple of days. He said it really affected him as well, as Bobby Johnson makes this catch from Joe Pau at about the 26-yard line. And Eric Emery pinned him there, the middle linebacker, and they're just shy of a first down. But Foley emphasized that they just wanted to forget about it and make sure it never happened again. But so far in the first half, it's been all Saskatchewan.
Well, it's going to be a full 2 yards, and the Riders are going to try to retain possession as they bring in their short yardage ball club, and they need to get down to the 25-yard line.
So they have a yard and a half to go on third down. Everybody in tight. Ferdinand and Bobby Johnson in the backfield. Johnson, the tailback, and he got inside the 25. He should have enough for the first down before he was pushed back. Anthony Woodson in on the tackle. So far, it looks like the coaches were right. Bobby Johnson does give them a better running game than Craig Ellis. Although you certainly can't complain about Craig Ellis as being a pass receiver.
Oh, boy.
Very effective.
Good as anybody coming out of that backfield.
First down, Riders. The ball at the Calgary 24-yard line. Somebody moved too early. Looked like right tackle Vic Stevenson. Denny Ferdinand taking the swing pass from Pau. Then he's surrounded. Hopkins was over there along with Stu Laird and others. I think the Riders will be charged for legal procedure.
Dale, more bad news for Calgary. Ray Alexander on that reception and then fumble a moment ago injured his hand. He split the skin between his fingers, and they've taken him to the dressing room to effect repairs. He'll need some stitches. Whether he'll come back or not remains to be seen.
Thank you, Al. We just see Ray Alexander in behind you now, going through the tunnel to the Calgary dressing room. Hopefully he will be back.
Saskatchewan number 65, penalty declined, second down.
Stampeders refused the penalty against the Roughriders, so it's a gain of about 1 yard for Denny Ferdinand.
You have a 2, Dave?
They called Neil Coulter 65, the right guard, but I think you're right. It was the right tackle. Vic Stevenson, who came up in that position too quickly.
Former tight end at the University of Calgary, Vic Stevenson. A little bit of a mix-up in the backfield, and Pau's pass goes into the turf as he ran into Bobby Johnson in his drop, so it'll bring up third down.
Well, the Stampeders came with the blitz that time and put a little better pressure on Joe Pau and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saskatchewan will now try a Dave Ridgway field goal, I believe, from about 31 yards out, and he's going to have to hit it solid.
Ridgway had 109 points last year. He was good on 23 of 38 field goal attempts. He's missed on 1 attempt so far today with the wind. This is from 31 into the wind. It has the distance. It is good. Boy, that wind really held it up there. I didn't think it was ever going to come down.
Looked like it hit a wall after it got through there, didn't it?
11-0. Saskatchewan leads Calgary. 10:54 left. First half. We'll be back in just a moment. To knock it down, he didn't get there in time. Eddie Ray Walker moved over to make the stop on Rome at the 45, and it's a first down. Calgary, a gain of 13.
I was talking to
thought he had an interception there, Dale. Sorry, Al.
Excuse me, Frank. I was just going to say, as we watched Tag make the reception, I was talking to Tag at the airport yesterday. You'll recall, Frank, he injured his right elbow in the game against Edmonton, and he had no feeling in it at all. He said there was actually a bone chip, but they've done whatever they do, and he's fine.
It's an important catch for a first down. The Stampeders are in Saskatchewan territory, and Dwight Beverly is wrapped up in the backfield as half the Rider defense surrounded him and drove him back. Count him. Half the Rider defense getting to the ball carrier, led by Eddie Lowe.
Well, you got 2 offensive linemen for the Calgary Stampeders who pulled to the right side on that occasion. Neither one of them got a block for him. Watch both of them go to the outside here. Randy Ambrosi, number 51, was the first one leading. Big Dave Kersinger. Well, McGowan has replaced Kersinger at left tackle right now.
Eddie Lowe almost picks off Rick Johnson. The pass intended for Tag Rome. And the Saskatchewan defense toughens again, and the Stampeders will be forced to punt. Third down and 12.
Program number now 17468.
Eddie Lowe is the quiet man of the Rough Rider defense, but he leads by example. And he was the Riders' Defensive Player of the Year in '85. Out of the University of Alabama, product of Bear Bryant's football program. Glenn Harper to punt. Aiming for the corner, and he puts it out of bounds. And let's see where they spot this one. Official marching up the sidelines, and he'll spot it at the 7-yard line. Good punt by Harper, pins the Riders deep. The 40-yard kick. Riders lead at 11-0. We'll be right back. He's in front by 11, but a good punt by the rookie Glenn Harper puts the ball at the Saskatchewan 7-yard line, where it's first down for the Riders. And the Stampeders have now got into the plus side in net yardage here in the first half. They were minus 20 after the first quarter. Well, Pau, 7 out of 13 so far. Stampeders at plus 15 net yards offensively. Long count by Pau, and the give to Denny Ferdinand, and he's backed up after a gain of a couple. Anthony Woodson, number 96, leading the way for the Stampeder defense. One of those linebackers, along with Eric Emery and Alvis Satelli. Woodson, of course, is the veteran amongst that linebacking core. He joined the team last year for 8 games. The other 2 are brand new, Emery and Satelli.
Looked like Satelli had jumped off sides there, but no call.
2nd down and 8 for the Riders near their 9-yard line. Ferdinand going in motion. Pitch to Bobby Johnson. If he can turn the corner, there's some running room, but there is a flag down as Johnson fights his way out to the 15. And Stu Laird, defensive end, getting back there. Penalty marker thrown on that far side of the field. Jack Goda interested in what the call is here because his team could be facing a punting situation into that wind right now.
Well, I think it's holding against the Riders, but they're going to see just how far short they are of the first down before they make their decision. I think they're better than a yard, Dale, and I don't think there's any way that Saskatchewan would gamble on 3rd down at their own 15-yard line. They will in all likelihood refuse this penalty.
Okay, they are a good yard short of the first down, just across the 15-yard line. So now Larry Hogue is discussing the situation when he gets a chance with Bud Ulrich, the head referee. And I think he's going to push him back. And here's the call. No, not yet.
I'm wrong again. They're going to give him the penalty and another chance to make the first down. Why?
Puts the ball back.
Nobody's going to gamble on 3rd and 1 on their own 15.
Saskatchewan number 88. 2nd down repeated.
Tony Dennis called for a chop block.
BC might, Frank. They might run an end around.
They don't have Swervin Mervin here. No.
So it's 2nd down again and 12 yards to go. The ball back at the 4. Pow from the end zone quickly down the middle. Bobby Johnson was interfered with by Anthony Woodson.
Well, there you go.
Now you give him the first down.
You give them another chance, they get the first down against you. Don't understand that.
Calgary 96. First down.
Of course, you're not counting on your own team to make a mistake like that and cost you a penalty. Alvis Satelli is now leaving the playing field with what appears to be an injury.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If I was coaching Dale, I'd give them all day to run 3rd and 1 on their own 15-yard line if they want to try that.
Instead, it's first down for the Riders at their own 15-yard line. Pow pumped once and then hangs it up there for Elarms, and Mel Jenkins makes a good defensive play to knock it away.
Well, Dale, I really do think the wind had just enough effect on that football to hold it up about 2 feet short of being perfect. But as you say, Jenkins back there defensively with a good job, although Alarms was behind him. That ball had been out another couple of feet. That could have been a major, major gain.
A couple of speedy guys there, Michael Elarms and Mel Jenkins. And Elarms is being checked over at the bench. Greg Holmes, the former Toronto Argonaut, number 82, has replaced him at wide receiver on 2nd down and 10. Underneath to Tony Dennis. Slips one tackle, still on his feet. He may get a first down. Depends where he gets the spot. Now, I think he's going to be just a bit short. Mel Jenkins and Larry Hogue trying to bring him down.
Well, he's only going to be about a foot short, I think, with that great second effort. That guy with the only major score in this football game so far, Tony Dennis, comes up with another big play, and the short yardage team for the Riders comes in. They want to keep possession of this football with 6:22 remaining in this second quarter. They lead the Stampeders 11-0.
And it's half a yard to go at the 24-yard line. 3rd down. Ferdinand and Bobby Johnson line up in the I directly behind quarterback Joe Pow. And he drew the Stampeders offside. Now, is that what the call's going to be? Did they draw him off? No, it's offside against Calgary. The long count. So many times you'll see teams try to do that. Just an extra long count on a short yardage play.
Well, and he also came with a very loud cadence still early on. You could hear him up here, and it certainly worked.
Offside, Calgary number 99, first down.
Shades of
Along
Tom
with
Wilkinson.
Exactly, Al. Harold Hallman offside. Bobby V, the rookie head coach, not pleased, but it's first down again for the Riders, now at their 30.
First and 10 at the 30.
Started this drive at the 70, at the 7, rather. Now, Pow is sacked for the first time this afternoon as the Stampeders came with everybody, and it's Harold Hallman, the rookie, who gets to him back at the 21-yard line.
Boy, great job, though, by young Bobby Johnson. Watch as he steps up in here and fills the shooting linebacker.
Second down, 19.
Unfortunately, they could not control Hallman.
On the
It
21.
was a good job by Bobby Johnson, number 26.
Second down for Saskatchewan, 19 yards to go. Out of the shotgun this time. Pow looking for Elarms. He's got him at the 35, pushed back by Mel Jenkins, but he'll be 5 yards short of the first down.
Ironically, Dale, Elarms was injured just a couple of plays ago. He got a bruise on his lower calf, and they worked on it, and he went back in limping a little bit, but he looked good on that play.
Well, Jenkins gave him some room that time, and he picked up about 14 yards, but it left the Roughriders 3rd and 5. So now Jerry McGrath will be punting into the wind for the first time in this ball game.
They did a good job of burning some time off that clock, though, Dale.
5 minutes left first half. Pretty good kick. It's going to hang up there a bit. Good hang time. Tag roll is caught immediately. Good job all around by the Rough Rider punt team. 40-yard kick, no return. It's 11-0 Riders leading the Stampeders. We'll be back in just a moment. Lead it 11-0. 4 minutes, 50 seconds remaining in the first half. Calgary Stampeders first down at their own 36-yard line. They have only been in Saskatchewan Rough Rider territory once in this ball game. The Rider defense pushed them back, and the Stampeders had the punt. Riders have done a good job, as Frank mentioned a moment ago, running off time in the second quarter. As the drop play goes to Beverly, and Gary Moten is there after a gain of only a couple to put the stop on him. Prior to that last play, Saskatchewan had the ball 7:22 of the second quarter. Calgary 3:28, and the Riders are going against the wind.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier 69 Dave Kersinger was nicked a little. He hasn't played it down that I've noticed at left tackle. Have you noticed?
No, I don't think he's been in there. It's been Sean McEwen all the way, and we see that Tom Spolatini, number 61, has seen some action as well. Rob Bresciani's into the game now as a receiver for the Calgary Stampeders. He's a former Saskatchewan draft choice in 1985. Glenn Suter, Mike Magruder making the tackle on him.
First down, Calgary.
Time to go now, Steph. Time to go now.
One of the few first downs the Stampeders have managed so far in the first 2 quarters of this ball game. We're winding down to the 3-minute mark now, the first half.
Bresciani is in there now because Emmanuel Tobert's a wide receiver in place of the injured Ray Alexander. There's a penalty marker down, and the ball almost picked off by Trent Bryant. He looked a little bit late at the football, or he may have picked it off. Offside against Saskatchewan, so it'll be first down over again for the Stampeders. 1st and 5.
You can see Tolbert just turning to the outside, and the timing was there for an interception. Looks like he didn't see the ball clearly, Dale, for some reason.
Offside, Saskatchewan number 2, first down repeated.
Johnson really gunned it that time. 11 penalties so far in the ball game. It's 1st and 5 for the Stampeders at their own 53.
Outside the ball, first down and 5.
Johnson to Tolbert. Penalty marker down. Incomplete pass. Holding against the Stampeders. So the Riders may push them right back again and make it 1st and 15. Or They may take a second down and 5. We have a timeout with 3:11 left to go in the first half, and Saskatchewan leading 11-0. We'll sort it out in just a moment. We'll be back in just a moment.
Once again, please welcome.
Saskatchewan accepted the penalty against Calgary, and it was holding the call against the Stampeders, so that puts the ball back at the Stamps' 43-yard line. First down over again, and now 15 yards to go.
Great guess. Show your rider pride, wear green and white.
Just over 3 minutes remaining in the second quarter. 11-0, Saskatchewan leading it. The only touchdown of the game came in the first quarter. Tony Dennis on a pass from Joe Paupow. A bit of a fake there by Rick Johnson, rolling and completes it to Rob Bresciani, making his presence felt now as Eddie Ray Walker, Mike Magruder team up to bring him down. It'll be a first down for the Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 50, a pickup of 17.
Bresciani's second reception here in the last couple of minutes, all of a sudden becoming a factor in this ball game. And he's one of the receivers that the Stampeders use as a messenger. He goes out of the ball game after picking up that first down.
Ray Alexander is back out there after suffering a hand injury earlier. Marshall Toner, rookie for the Stamps, in motion. First down, Johnson throws, incomplete. Tag Rome having to reach way behind him. Johnson's been having a little bit of problem getting his passes on target here in the first half.
A little bit of pressure that time by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. James Walker, 75, was in on Johnson. And you may see the Riders coming on this second down and 10-yard play. They've had a tendency to bring their linebackers at least one or, if not two, on second and long.
2.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Second down and 10. Johnson going deep for Tag Rome, and he's out of bounds, even if he had made the catch. Trent Bryant was with them all the way. So Trent Bryant and Mike Magruder, the two new corners for Saskatchewan, have played well here in the first half.
Covering on the play for Saskatchewan 17, Trent Bryant.
Rick Goltz in there putting the pressure on that time. Goltz, of course, a big sack in the first quarter of this football game. Drew Johnson for a 16-yard loss.
So Glenn Harper is out there to punt once more. Twice now the Stampeders have been in Saskatchewan territory, but unable to do anything with it. This time they'll get a single point as Fran McDermott steps out of the end zone, and it is now an 11-1 ball game with 2:12 remaining in the second quarter.
Saskatchewan 11, Calgary 1.
That's a 62-yard punt by Glenn Harper.
Well, Calgary have to be terribly disappointed with their performance with the wind in the second quarter, Dale. Of course, conversely, Saskatchewan's defense has done a good job. But they're going to have to really get it going in the third period if they hope to get back in this.
First down, Saskatchewan from their own 35-yard line. They lead by 10 here in the second quarter. The give to Denny Ferdinand. Trying to pick his way through the left side. Has a gain of 2, maybe 3. Hallman in on the tackle, number 99.
Gain of 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 7.
Hallman and Laird, of course, have not been the factors they were in the opener Tuesday night against Edmonton. As you see, Mike Coling, secondary coach for Saskatchewan. Some explanations. Second down and 8. Paupow to Elgart. He tried to one-hand it. He was a little bit behind him and high, and Larry Hogue providing the coverage made sure he didn't grab it. So it's third down.
Well, they came with the safety blitz that time. Greg Peterson coming in there, and a good call against it as Joe is trying to hit his slot back right up the middle. Ball a little bit behind Elgart. Saskatchewan will kick it away with 1:18 remaining now in this first half.
Grass punt coming to Emmanuel Colbert, but Tag Rome moved over and made the catch, still on his feet. Rome to the 45-yard line. 34-yard punt and a 7-yard return to Tag Rome.
Well, I guess there's a couple of lights out on that clock, Dale. I guess it was 1:48. So Calgary now will have 1 minute and 37 seconds remaining to try to put some points on the board while they have this big wind advantage. They have to go 65 yards to get to the Saskatchewan end zone.
Johnson completes it to Tag Rome just inside Saskatchewan territory in front of Trent Bryant. Good job by Tag Rome to hang on to that one.
It's first down.
First and 10 Stampeders at the Saskatchewan 54.5. Wide open in the middle. Greg Feger at the 45-yard line, stopped by Billy Jackson, but there is a flag down.
They're going to call roughing the passer on Gary Lewis, number 79, and he contacted him after the ball was gone, and it could have been avoided. That's how it's being interpreted this year. That's a big penalty against the Riders. All of a sudden, the Stampeders have moved from their own 45.
Unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 79 roughing the passer. First down.
Moved from their own 45 to Saskatchewan's 30 in 2 plays, and it's only taken 13 seconds.
Penalty 50 yards. First and 10 at the Saskatchewan 30.
Johnson putting it up deep for Ray Alexander. He's trying to run by Mike Magruder, and we may get an offensive interference call here. No, it looks like the way the Riders are reacting, it's going against the defense. No.
No, it's against Alexander.
The way Glenn Suter and Mike Magruder both reacted, it looked like it was going to go against Saskatchewan.
Kind of surprised they throw that flag when the ball was so obviously overthrown.
Yeah, it looked to be pretty uncatchable, didn't it?
Interference penalty is wiped out. The ball is uncatchable. Second down.
Well, there you go, Al. Good call. Well, they're booing here at Taylor Field, but that is the ruling. If the ball is uncatchable, there'll be no interference.
Second and 10 at the 30.
Uncatchable by anyone, that is, not just the receiver. If the defender had a chance, they would call it.
Second down and 10 from the 30-yard line. Johnson, throwback, intercepted by Eddie Ray Walker, and he was almost annihilated by his own man. 2 Saskatchewan defenders were there simultaneously. Eddie Ray Walker nailed by his teammate.
Trying to throw back against the grain, and Emmanuel Tolbert, the intended receiver, 2 Riders right there colliding after the interception.
Gary Moten, number 58, with the hit on Walker. Whoa. But the Riders do have the football as Walker managed to hang on to it. And Walker, of course, shaken up on the play.
Number 2, Walker.
Well, it looked like he caught his teammate's helmet right in the solar plexus.
Program 15996. You have 10 minutes to claim your automatic hopper, courtesy of Hunt Wesson, maker of portable Red Blocker hopping cord.
Johnson, who had some problems in his initial year last year with interceptions, had gone through the first league opener without being picked off, but he threw that one right to Eddie Ray Walker, who now gets up and is going off under his own steam. There's 1:13 remaining now in the first half.
Walker played all 16 games last year, didn't get an interception. He's got one here in the opener. Here's Al.
I got Nick Hebler, who, of course, is still out with a hamstring. Nick, everybody in Canada probably wondering, you keep painting your shoes every time. Now they have to be green, eh?
Well, I was gonna put all 9 CFL colors on there, but I think I'll stick to green.
Nice to be back with Rick Goltz. That's one thing, eh? A reunion.
It's great. You know, Rick and I played college ball together, and Joe Papa. A lot of friends here from BC. Great atmosphere out here.
When can you play, Nick?
I'll be ready for Winnipeg next week.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Riders play in Winnipeg on Saturday night. First down for Saskatchewan. The ball at their own 18. Bobby Johnson and Stu Laird gets to him at about the 20-yard line.
Ball carrier 26.
Gain of a couple on the play. This game does wrap up the first week of action in the CFL for 1986. Games coming up this week on Thursday, Ottawa at Hamilton, BC at Edmonton. Friday, it's Toronto at Montreal. And then on Saturday, the Riders playing the Bombers in Winnipeg. Timeout called by the Calgary Stampeders with 1 minute and 8 seconds left to go in the second quarter. And the Riders looking at second down and 8 from their own 20-yard line. Powell heads to the Rider bench. Larry Hope quickly checked with head coach Rob Vespasiani and then rejoined the defensive huddle.
The official newspaper of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Booster Club is the only one of its kind in Canada. Now both
Harold
members
Smith,
as far away as
one of the two Rider backup quarterbacks, the other being former Stampeder Bernard Quarles.
Please check page 12 in today's program
Bernard
for more
with the
information
jacket
on
on.
all the Rider offense. CKRM Dream Team would like to thank Yellow Rolls Royce. They're helping
11-1 is the score as you take a look at Rick Johnson. That's the Stampeder bench.
Players use Gillette shaving products.
Marker down as Paw goes into the middle for Bobby Johnson, the intended receiver. Pass was thrown a little bit low.
Mike Emery felt he should have had an interception, but I think that penalty is going to be against the Stampeders in any event, jumping offside as they have on several occasions here this afternoon.
Offside, Calgary number 75. Second down repeated.
And it's 2nd and 3 now. Greg Peterson is coming with the safety blitz on that last play, and Baldwin.
Down, 3 yards to go, 25.
Bobby Johnson got close, but didn't get enough for the first down. Ken Miller putting the stop on him, number 21. The Riders will be 3rd and less than a yard to go, I would think. Depends where they spot the football.
They weren't really able to get much time off the clock, Dale. The Stampeders are still going to have time to try and pick up some points. 1:01 showing on the clock right now.
It's Beverly with the ice bag on the right knee. And Jerry McGrath is in to punt.
Well, they'll burn the full time off of the clock this time for sure.
And his worst kick of the afternoon. Bounces back towards the line of scrimmage. This is Darcy Kopp hustling downfield. Now, let's see, the flag will be thrown anyway, but the new rule should take effect here that if the ball bounces back to the line of scrimmage and nobody interferes with anybody else and the Saskatchewan's trying to get out of the way, there won't be a penalty.
The key to that ruling, Dale, I think, is that they must attempt to get out of the way.
Penalty not applied. Man was moving out of the zone.
They're moving out of the zone and not in any way interfering with the play. As the officials explained so carefully to us in our meeting yesterday.
That was a perfect example, Frank, of what Neil Payne was telling us.
First down for the Stampeders. The ball at the Saskatchewan 44. Ray Alexander is open against Mike Magruder at the 30-yard line. It's another first down for Calgary. And a pickup of 14 yards.
28, Mike Magruder.
31 seconds left.
First down.
And no huddle by the Stamp.
Stampeders at the Roughrider 30.
Johnson quickly to Tolbert. That was a little bit behind him.
Well, Tolbert was so quick to want to get out of bounds with that football, he forgot to catch it first.
25 seconds left as the clock is stopped now. 2nd and 10 from the 30. Johnson, Alexander has got it and goes out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Again, working in front of Mike Magruder for a gain of 18.
First down.
Well, pretty tough to stop this. Alexander's got the great speed, so he just pulls up short. And
From the 11-yard
2 underneath completions to Alexander now have moved the Stampeders down to the 11-yard line. The closest they've come to be putting the ball in the end zone. 19 seconds remain now.
Johnson looking left all the way. Tolbert, touchdown Calgary. Emmanuel Tolbert's second touchdown of 1986, and it's 11-yard score on the pass from Rick Johnson.
Well, how quick things turned around when the Saskatchewan Roughriders were unable to retain possession against the wind or burn much time off the clock. They gave the Stampeders one more chance, and they converted it with that score to Emmanuel Tolbert.
44-yard drive in just 4 plays, and Tolbert getting the touchdown, and the convert is good, of course, by J.T. Hay. With 14 seconds left, it is now Saskatchewan 11 and Calgary 8. Stampeders to kick off, and the drive took just 23 seconds for Calgary.
Well, I think the score is certainly flattering the Calgary Stampeders here this afternoon, trailing now by only 3 points. It looks like that's how they'll go in the locker room.
That's all right. That's all right.
The last 4 passes that
Come on.
Tolbert and Alexander, of course, were primary receivers in that last drive. Tolbert getting the touchdown, Alexander catching 2 right along the sidelines to move the ball deep into Saskatchewan territory, and of course they put it in the end zone from the 11, and J.T. Hay now to kick off from his own 35. Carries a long way, and this is Michael Elarm starting from near his own 5-yard line. And he brings it out to the 25, and we have 8 seconds left for the Saskatchewan Roughrider offense to get out there and try and do something. Anthony Woodson making the tackle, and as you see, a little bit of pushing and shoving going on after the play. Everything's all sorted out, and we'll get back to football. First down Riders from their own 25. 1 touchdown for each team in this ball game so far, and on both occasions the team with the win getting the touchdown. David Conrad takes the handoff from Joe Powpow, number 37, second-year man from Acadia. Has a pickup of about 5, second down for the Riders, and we'll have time for one more play. Eric Emery making the tackle. This will be the last play of the first half from the 30-yard line. Conrad again. Conrad outside. Has a gain of 10. Still on his feet. Almost 15 yards to finish off the first half. So the 2 teams now head to the locker room after the first 30 minutes. It is Saskatchewan 11 and Calgary 8.
The league opener was Tuesday night in Calgary, where the Stampeders spanked the 27,000 plus with autographed footballs. And the fans had cause to cheer here in the second quarter. That's young Rick Johnson at quarterback. He gets good protection and goes up the middle against the Edmonton Eskimos to 6'4" Ray Alexander. That helped set up the game's first touchdown from in close. Johnson throwing again, this time outside. Alexander snares it, 9-7 Stamps at the half. But then the Eskimos go in front on a 1-yard keeper by Matt Dunnigan, 14-13. Now the game really starts to get interesting. In the fourth quarter, Johnson wants Emmanuel Tolbert. Watch the collision. Tolbert, the only one left standing. He knows what to do next. It's a 51-yard touchdown. McMahon Stadium is rocking on this night. Calgary ahead again, 2014, and the way their defense was playing, it looked like that might hold up. Dunnigan may have been the game's leading rusher, but he was under pressure all night, and he goes down again. But it only takes one mistake to lose a ball game. With just seconds left to play, deep zone coverage breaks down. Stephan Jones gets behind, Dunnigan delivers. It's a one-point Edmonton victory. Thursday night, this is one of the Hamilton Tiger Cats' favorite places to play football, Toronto. Their running quarterback, Ken Hobart, scores the game's first major on a nifty 14-yard draw. But while Hobart was running, Condredge Holloway was putting the ball up. Chris Woods, a 44-yard gain, setting up Lance Chomek's fourth field goal, 12-10 Toronto at intermission. Early in the third quarter, Holloway, who threw for 264 on the night, launches a flutter ball that Steve Cox rolls under and into the end zone, 19-10. But looking for Cox again hurts Holloway in the fourth quarter. Mark Streeter steps into the ball and waltzes 31 yards the other way. Now there are just seconds left. Bernie Ruoff needs a single point to force overtime, but his 44-yard attempt is wide, and Chris Woods runs the ball out of trouble. 21-20, the Argonauts hang on. A little later that same night, some razzle-dazzle under the dome in Vancouver. BC ahead of Winnipeg by a single point when Mervyn Fernandez, who can run like the wind, throws to Ned Armour. It's an 86-yard gain and sets up the eventual game-winning score. Roy DeWalt, 21 yards to Scott Leckie. The defending champions win 28-17. Now to the nation's capital for CTV's Friday Nighter, and Ottawa's Chris Sigler puts on a show. He ties a CFL record, intercepting Montreal's Joe Barnes 4 times. The big one here in the third quarter, a 70-yard return for touchdown. Ottawa's defense wins this one. Upcoming games this week, a pair on Thursday. The Ottawa Riders are in Hamilton, the BC Lions in Edmonton. CTV's Friday Nighter has the Argonauts in Montreal, while on Saturday it's Saskatchewan. This is CTV in a moment.
In real plastic. Half, and we'll take a look at the statistics after the first 30 minutes of play, and the Roughriders with the edge, 149 to 107 in total yards.
Dale, that's a big change from first quarter stats. As you recall, the Calgary Stampeders had a net of 20 yards minus in total offense in the first 15 minutes. They obviously had the wind in the second quarter of this football game, and they did manage to start things going for themselves offensively. They really do appear to be awfully flat after having lost that football game on Tuesday night against the Edmonton Eskimos. Maybe Bobby V can bring them back in the second half.
Okay, and just to add to those numbers you saw statistically, time of possession in the first half, Saskatchewan 16 minutes, 26 seconds, Calgary 13 minutes, 34 seconds. 11-8 is the score. Saskatchewan leading Calgary as we get set for third quarter action here at Taylor Field on an overcast day. Al, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the weather.
Actually, Dale, the wind has abated slightly. It is not quite the force it was in the early part of the game. The rain factor, which was with us at the outset, has kind of faded away. I really doubt that it's going to rain now, and if the wind would go down, it would be a fairly good day to play football. But right now, the wind is still going to be a big factor, no doubt about that.
Now, Calgary's supposed to kick off here to get this third quarter underway from the 35, but they teed it up at the 25, and Bud Ulrich has just announced that the Stampeders are charged with delay of game, a 10-yard penalty, so they're kicking off from their own 25. They must have been just a little too long in getting out of the locker room.
This year, the home team gets to choose which half they want the choice. That's kind of unique. I'll leave that one for you to explain, Dale.
I don't think right now we got time to get into it. I think it's the...
There are thousands listening today who don't care.
From the 25-yard line, J.T. Hay with the kickoff. And Lynn holds it up there for Derek Zeno at his own 41. Zeno brings it to midfield, so Saskatchewan gets great field position. Eric Emery making the tackle on number 8, Derek Zeno, a 44-yard kickoff and a return of 14 yards. We have an injured Stampeder on the play.
The Stamps have had quite a few nicks already in this ball game.
Mike Gromer, number 31, is the injured Stampeder.
What great field position for the Riders as they take over with this strong breeze at their back, and they have a first down at midfield with that penalty against Calgary on the opening kickoff.
Therapist Pat Clayton working on the right leg of Mike Gromer, who was a draft of the Stampeders a few years ago. He spent time with the BC Lions and then was signed by the Stampeders for 1986. And he was the backup of running back.
To see Gromer, number 31, in the middle of your screen go down, it looked like he just tried to duck under a block here. I'm not sure how the leg.
He caught on the turf.
I guess he did before he actually went down, didn't he?
It may be a seam. This turf leaves a lot to be desired. It's as hard as you'll find anywhere, and it is wearing out rapidly, and they're going to get this season, maybe next season, out of this turf before they replace it. But obviously that is what caused the injury to Mike Gromer, who's now being helped off the field. He caught a seam somewhere along there.
Well, that's tough when you start losing ball players without contact.
Yep.
Joe Paopao, the third leading quarterback in the history of the Saskatchewan Roughriders in terms of numbers of completions. Passed up Kenny Plain on the all-time list for yardage during the first half.
And he's the CFL record holder for consecutive completions in the game, with 18 of them when he was with the BC Lions. Paopao down the middle. Elgard, intended receiver, almost intercepted by Peterson, the safety, who is operating out there after breaking a wrist in the game against the Eskimos on Tuesday night.
Well, you can rest assured that that was man-to-man coverage because they brought all their linebackers, no underneath help at all. And Peterson had the ball right in his hands for what should have been an easy interception. Ray Elgart, the intended receiver.
Outside of one pass, Ray Elgard really hasn't been a factor in this ball game. And of course, he was the Riders' biggest offensive threat in 1985. They picked up the blitz, and Paopao dumped it off to Denny Ferdinand, and he gets knocked around by 3 or 4 Stampeders, including Emery and Jenkins, and he'll be well short of the first down.
Well, this is really a delayed blitz. Started up right now, and you'll see number 24. Stop it there. You'll see the safety, number 24, come in there on the blitz, but a good job by the Riders of picking it up, giving time for Joe to throw the football again. That's the second time that we picked up Bobby Johnson doing a good job from that halfback spot, picking up the blitzing linebackers or backs from the Stampeders.
Gromer being attended to at the bench as we await the punt from Jerry McGrath. Nice high punt, carries well to the 5-yard line. Pop on the return, stopped at the 10. So a 5-yard return after a 48-yard punt, and the Stampeders start deep in their own end when we come back. 11-8, Saskatchewan leads it. We'll return in a moment. 3-point lead for Saskatchewan over Calgary with 13:46 remaining in the third quarter. The Calgary offense out on the field now, and they have to start from their own 10-yard line. 1st and 10 following the punt by Jerry McGrath. Rick Johnson started to find the range late in the second quarter. See how he works now against the wind in the third. Had to pull it down, and he's picked off by Gary Moten.
That's a highlight.
Gary Moten is finally brought down by Greg Feger inside the 10-yard line. Rick Johnson wanted to get away that pass a lot sooner than he did, but he had to pull it down and wait for Tolbert to try and clear, and Moten stepped in front of it.
A very dangerous type of throw, particularly down in this part of the field. Tolbert going across the middle, and Tolbert didn't even look like he was ready to make the reception.
It looked like Billy Jackson made Johnson pull the ball down the first time, and then Johnson never even saw Gary Moten. So it's 1st and goal. Riders at the Stampeders 7-yard line, and a quick turnover here in the third quarter. The deep pitch to Bobby Johnson. He will score. Bobby Johnson, the newcomer for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, replacing the now departed Craig Ellis.
Boy, what a great stutter step he makes right in his own backfield. Watch him right here. What a great fake. Put Ken Miller, number 21, right down on the ground. He didn't even come close to touching him. So the second-year pro from the San Jose State University puts the Saskatchewan Roughriders ahead now 17-8. And with 13-11 remaining in the third quarter, we'll pause for this. Once again, watch the great move by Bobby Johnson as he dekes Ken Miller at about the 5-yard line and goes in standing up. The Riders capitalize on a quick interception by Gary Moulton and lead by 10.
The kickoff from David Ridgway. Hopkins from his own 7-yard line on the return, and he is brought down quickly by another former Stampeder, Ken Moore, number 64. Ken Moore, of course, was a tight end in university at Hawaii, a couple years at the University of Alberta. Holds the return to 22 yards. The Riders have converted him to an offensive lineman.
Well, they used him as a running back on blocking situations, if you recall, Dale, last year. I guess they won't do that with wearing number 64. Not legal.
He almost won a starting job. He came very close to beating out Laurie Stoller for that left tackle position. Stampeders first down. Tag Rome takes the pass, and he's hit immediately. The ball popped loose, so it's incomplete at the 35-yard line. Trent Bryant with a timely hit there to jar the ball loose.
Well, we thought Bryant, number 17, and Magruder, 28 on the other side, both being rookies, that the Stampeders might be able to take advantage of that situation. They have not been able to do so far in today's ball game, with the exception of Alexander a couple of times on the outside. Basically, those youngsters have played good football.
And that was against Magruder, and he was making sure he kept everybody in front of him, and he gave up those 10, 15 yards. And now Rick Johnson is sacked for the 4th time in the ball game. James Walker may get credit for this one, number 75, but Jonathan Gonzalez, number 57, also had big pressure.
You're absolutely right. Gonzalez, 57, was in there first. Johnson manages to avoid his shot, but he set up the sack. Once again, Saskatchewan going to have excellent field position. 16,579 the crowd announced here at Taylor Field this afternoon,
which would make it the smallest crowd in the CFL this opening week.
Undoubtedly affected by the long weekend, Dale. A lot of the Saskatchewan folks going down to the lake.
Well, 2 years ago they had a game on this weekend, and they said they'd never have a home game again on this weekend, and here they are. This one really hangs up. Derek Zeno on the return inside the 40-yard line. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders in very similar situation as the first quarter, getting great field position because they're with the win. 27-yard punt, 4-yard return.
Dale, to make matters a little bit worse, while you look at the upcoming events on CTV, for Calgary, they're getting a little thin in the running back department. Their backup running back, Mike Gromer, was injured. He banged up the inside of his right knee, and it's very doubtful he'll play anymore today.
And, of course, Dwight Beverly's been nursing a sore knee as well, but he's continued to play. Michael Elarms takes the pass from Joe Paupow, slipped one tackle from Hopkins, but then he had inside help from Ken Miller, number 21, who makes the stop on him at about the 33-yard line. So it's a gain of 6 yards for the Riders with 11.5 minutes remaining third quarter. Let's take another look at what's coming up on Wide World of Sports. You saw it there briefly. The Cayuga 200, U.S. Grand Prix kart racing, the Canadian team synchronized swimming, and Greenwood celebrity races, all coming up on Wide World of Sports Saturday, July 5th, right here on CTV. Second down play, and Denny Ferdinand didn't have anywhere to go. Satelli was there along with Vince Goldsmith, who stops him right at the 35-yard line. So it'll be a loss of 2 and third down for the Riders and 6 yards to go.
Boy, watch this young linebacker, 13, Satelli, come up here from the inside. Emery stopping the block right at the point of attack. But Satelli just came in there and threw him down.
Ball's on the 35.
And Suter will hold for Dave Ridgway at the 42-yard line. The one field goal that Ridgway was good on in this ball game was against the Wind. This is his second attempt with the Wind, and he is good this time. And the Roughriders have added 10 quick points here in the third quarter. We haven't played 5 minutes yet, and it's now 21-8 for Saskatchewan over Calgary. It was 11-8 at halftime. First of the interception by Gary Moulton earlier in the third, setting up the Rough Rider touchdown, scored by Bobby Johnson. The very next play.
We almost get the feeling that the Stampeders are just trying to hold on and keep them close until they get that wind advantage in the fourth quarter. They've got to come after Saskatchewan, I think. Once again, every kickoff in the CFL this year will emanate from the 35-yard line. Assuming there's no penalty, of course.
Stampeders, with this being their second game, do not play again now until Thursday, July 10th, when they'll visit the Ottawa Roughriders.
Well, it looks like the Calgary Stampeders are going to elect to scrimmage the ball at the 35-yard line and not allow the Riders to kick off. That is, of course, the team that has been scored upon's option.
And probably a good move, seeing that Ridgway would be kicking with the wind, and from the 35, he was bound to put it deep down to the 5 or maybe even the goal line. The Riders have done a good job covering kicks today. Tag Rome takes the pass from Rick Johnson, hangs onto it this time. Pushed out of bounds by Trent Bryant. First down, gain of 14 yards for the Stampeders, out to the 49.
First and 10, the 49.
And that was a fine throw that time by Rick Johnson.
First and 10 from the Calgary 49-yard line. Stampeders with Dwight Beverly taking the handoff. Looked like he had an opening there, but sliding over to make the tackle, James Walker, number 75, the former Stampeder.
Well, what a great block, though, by Greg Feger as you watch him going out to kick out to the outside and let his running mate go up just inside of him. Watch how he kicks the linebacker to the outside. Feger, number 7. He just stayed with him. Excellent block.
Second down and 5. Johnson dumps it off to Beverly, moving up quickly to make the stop as Eddie Lowe right at midfield. The gain will be less than a yard, and so the Stampeders will look at a punting situation.
Gain of a yard. It'll be third down and 4.
Well, the Stampeders get just on their side of the midfield stripe and have to punt it away, and they've had a lot of trouble moving the ball into Saskatchewan territory in this ball game, except for late in the second quarter. First, the Stampeders were minus 20 in net yardage after the first quarter of this ball game. High snap, but Harper calls it down. The 6-footer and a short punt bouncing out of bounds at the Saskatchewan 36-yard line.
Goes out of bounds.
A 19-yard punt for the rookie out of Washington State, who was drafted by Saskatchewan in the 5th round this year and then traded to the Stampeders in March for veteran Canadian linebacker Mark Nelson.
Speaking of Mark Nelson, on that television thing we had at the start of the show, that Nelson's going to make a career in Hollywood after football, I think.
Pow quickly to Tony Dennis. First down, Saskatchewan, as he twists and turns his way out to the 51-yard line, and a gain of 15 yards for Tony Dennis, who had the first touchdown of the ball game.
Just a quick look in pattern, trying to find that seam, and he did so. Good job of running with the football. Saskatchewan very impressive here in the early moments of this third quarter.
Hogan Jenkins brought Dennis down. Denny Ferdinand finds an opening, but there's a penalty marker down. Ferdinand takes it into Calgary territory, where Anthony Woodson makes the stop on him at about the 53-yard line. They're going to bring it back.
Holding against the Riders.
Safety Greg Peterson also in on the tackle. But it'll be first down over again and 20 yards to go as they march back to the Saskatchewan 41.
Holding, Saskatchewan number 68. First down repeated.
Laurie Skolrud. 13-year pro out of North Dakota. Was a tight end for the first 5 or 6 years in the league. Started in Saskatchewan, went to Hamilton, then came back to the Riders and was converted to tackle in 1980. Pass intended for Ray Elgard. Double coverage there from Larry Hogue and Eric Emery. It was thrown high. It'll be 2nd down and 20.
Boy, it's nice to have a target that big, isn't it? Elgard at 6'3", 225. You can go up and get a football like that, but because of the good defense by Hogue, knocked away.
Elgard had almost 1,200 yards in pass receptions last year. Of course, he is most impressive after he catches the football, and those defensive backs try to bring him down. He punishes people, as you see Eric Emery having to leave the field now, shaken up in the last play.
It looked like he and Pow might set every pass and pass receiving record in the world early in 1985, didn't it, Dale?
It did. And, of course, Joe got hurt, as we mentioned, and Elgard missed a game, too, with a bad ankle, and it took him a couple of games to get over that. And they just were never the same. They never clicked the same after that. But Saskatchewan moved the ball last year. As you see, they led the CFL in passing, but they just didn't score enough. Pow dumping it off to Denny Ferdinand. And he attracts a big crowd and finally is brought down. 4, 5, 6 Stampeders had a shot at him. Garrett Dahl, number 97, the backup linebacker, in on that play because of the injury to Eric Emery.
Again, the Stampeders came with a safety blitz. Greg Peterson, number 24, trying to time this out. It has not really worked for them. I think they better leave him back there and help him defend, because Bobby Johnson just picks him up every time he comes in there.
So Jerry McGrath is in to punt for the Roughriders with 7:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Good punt by McGrath. He unloaded on this one. Back inside the 10-yard line. Caught, fumbles it. Rome is there. While the kicking game has certainly been in Saskatchewan's favor as well this afternoon, a 60-yard punt. 21-8 is the score. Saskatchewan leading Calgary. We'll be back to Taylor Field in just a moment. By the Riders, Jerry McGrath of 60 yards, mishandled by Darcy Kopp, but fortunately for the Stampeders, Tag Rome was there to recover it. But Calgary starts deep, 8-yard line. Jerry McGrath, nicknamed Lumpy by his teammates, pretty happy with that punt. Marshall Toner in motion. The draw play to Dwight Beverly. The middle opens up. Beverly is all the way out to the 20 and a 1st down. Good call by the Stampeders.
Dale, a lot of times in an effort to get to the passer, a defensive lineman will try to slip the block. Watch Rick Goltz, number 63, as he goes around his offensive lineman and creates that huge hole in the middle there. Goltz, number 63. See Bob Poley just push him right out of the way. The hole created because of that.
1st down again for Rick Johnson. Coming inside is Ray Alexander, wrapped up immediately by Magruder, and penalty flags come down against Glenn Suter. He came in there late, and they may call him for spearing. I don't know what the discussion is about. 2 referees threw flags immediately when Glenn Suter arrived on the scene.
Well, even the Riders are looking over at their bench and saying that they're being called for the spearing penalty.
Frank, do you remember what the official told us? They might have ejections this year rather than just penalties.
Well, I don't think that one was...
That one wouldn't warrant an ejection, I'm sure. By the way, good news for Calgary fans. In an otherwise kind of dismal situation, the middle linebacker, Emery, is not badly injured. He cut his lip, is all. He'll be back.
Spearing, Saskatchewan number 27, 1st down.
Well, the Stampeders started inside their own 10. They're now out to the 44. There you see the late spearing call against Glenn Suter. Johnson in trouble, but got away from Walker. Goltz pursuing him, and he throws it into the bench. Incomplete pass. The fans want a penalty here that he threw the ball away, but there was a receiver in the area.
Yeah, he threw it about 12 feet over the top of Ray Alexander's head. Good play by the youngster. Southern Illinois University down in Carbondale, Illinois.
You know that country well, don't you?
I do. It's my part of the world when I was growing up.
At the 44.
Some great athletes have come out of SIU.
Of course, you didn't go to that school.
No, that's what I said.
Second down for the Stampeders. Big pressure up the middle. Johnson will have to eat it again. The Roughriders have got to Johnson, Eddie Lowe, Gary Moulton teaming up about 5 times now. 5 sacks for Saskatchewan.
Once again, though, Dale, it was that youngster John Gonzalez, 57, who put the initial pressure on. Made Johnson get out of that pocket and start running for his life.
So the Stampeders managed to work it out of their own end a little bit, and Harper will punt from near the 30 instead of back inside the 10-yard line.
And awfully inconsistent today, though, Dale, in terms of hitting the ball. There's a good one.
That's probably his best into the wind all afternoon. Derek Zeno couldn't decide which way to return it, and he is stopped right at the 34-yard line by Bob Coley. 39-yard punt and a 4-yard return, and we have 5:16 remaining in the third quarter. A 21-8 ball game in favor of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the season opener for the Riders, in game number 2, of course, for Calgary. It's the first of 3 meetings between these two clubs. They'll be playing here at Taylor Field again Sunday, September 28th, and then they'll finish off their season series in Calgary Friday, October 31st. And with the new playoff format this year, could be something on the line in that one. Tony Dennis makes the catch across the 45-yard line, has a first down, tackled by Ronald Hopkins. And Tony Dennis certainly has to warrant consideration as an offensive star for Saskatchewan today.
Once again, the Stampeders in an attempt to put that pressure on, trying to bring a few extra people, but Saskatchewan, as Dale pointed out, is strong suit beam pass protection and doing a good job.
Pass knocked down right at the line of scrimmage, either by Ken Miller or Stu Laird. I'm not sure which one actually got his hand up there to knock it down. Miller was coming on the halfback blitz. Ken Miller out of Eastern Michigan, a 5-year pro. Played 5 games last year for the Stampeders. Of course, he has previous CFL experience with Montreal and Ottawa. Second down and 10 Riders. Pow looking for Tony Dennis. He's got him, but he is wrapped up immediately by Greg Peterson, the safety. They'll spot the ball at the 48. It'll be third down and 7. Saskatchewan won both games against the Stampeders last year, 30-17 and 21-10. Calgary won both games in 1984, 32-11 and 32-18.
Saskatchewan's got a tough start, Dale, having to go into Winnipeg for their next ball game and then play the Eskimos after that.
Another good punt by McGrath. This is Kopp on the return, finds the sidelines. And he stepped out of bounds at his own 26-yard line. So with 3 minutes and 38 seconds left in the third quarter, Kopp returns the 45-yard punt, 10 yards, and the Stampeders have the ball back. But as was the case in the first quarter, the Stampeders unable to do anything offensively, going against the wind. Kopp, as I mentioned earlier, playing today in place of Carl Braun, who was in the lineup against the Eskimos last Tuesday night. Rick Johnson going to Ray Alexander down low. He makes the catch at the 31 for a gain of 5, and Alexander making the catch in front of Eddie Ray Walker. The Stampeders only made 2 lineup changes for this game. One was Darcy Kopp. The other one, also in a backup role, John Coughlin, the #1 draft choice of the Eskimos, who didn't make Edmonton's roster, and the Stampeders have got him. He's their backup defensive lineman. Dwight Beverly gets away from Billy Jackson and has a first down across the 40. Finally getting there, Gary Moulton.
Bill, a question for you. Why would the Stampeders be going without a huddle when they're working against the wind? You'd think they'd be trying to burn up the time, not use it quickly.
Well, only their coaches would know for sure, but I guess they just don't want to give the Saskatchewan defense any chance at all of getting set up properly. And maybe relaying defensive signals that are called from the sidelines.
Well, I guess that's as good a reason as any.
I don't have a better one.
I still think I'd take the 20 seconds and try to burn this time off.
Well, now they are. Second down and 10 from the 41-yard line. Riders showing blitz. Johnson gets the pass away. No, they rule Ray Alexander trapped it. I thought he came up with a fine shoestring grab. He may have re-injured that hand that he had to leave the ball game with earlier.
Boy, that's commitment to drive those sore fingers onto that hard turf, Dale.
That's for sure. Good attempt by Ray Alexander.
He might have caught it.
Well, from that angle, it sure looked like he made the catch.
Glenn Harper has been a busy man here this afternoon, and it seems like every time he's punting, it's into the wind. Zeno waits for it, 30-yard line. Stampeders are downfield quickly, led by Bob Foley, number 57, the center. So a minute 50 remaining in the third quarter, a 40-yard punt and a 4-yard return. And the Roughriders going offense at their own 33. Coach Jack Goda's second year as head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, first former head coach of the Stampeders. Watching Bobby Johnson driven back a bit at the 35-yard line. Eugene Beliveau and Elvis Santelli were there. I think Beliveau got to him first. Beliveau, of course, was the only member of the Calgary front four not to get a sack against Edmonton on Tuesday night. Alexander being attended to. Therapist Pat Clayton.
I suppose you guys think it's warming up out here on the 29th of June. That's what they're wearing in Saskatchewan for this midsummer game. It's really chilly now.
Paupau's pass intended for Tony Dennis on 2nd and 8 goes incomplete. It's third down. So after a quick start here in the third quarter by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, when they added 10 points, their offense all of a sudden sputters, and Jerry McGrath is in to punt again. 13-point lead for the for the Roughriders over the Stampeders. Less than a minute to go now here in the third. Bit of a low snap. McGrath has it and lifts another one. Pop from near the 25, dancing around. Breaks it outside around Ken Moore, and is finally brought down by Mark Nelson. We have a penalty flag up near the Stampeder 50-yard line. 52-yard punt and a return of 12. Rough play, the call against Saskatchewan.
I don't think the Stampeders are aware of that penalty yet, Dale.
There now, Bob Foley was over there discussing it with Bud Ulrich, and we'll see where they're going to march the penalty off from. Where he was stopped was the 34-yard line, and then they'll move it upfield from there. A 15-yarder against Saskatchewan. That'll put the ball out at the 49. First down. So a bit of a break here for the Stampeders. Here's the call.
Unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 81 applied on the run back. First down.
Ray Elgard probably didn't like something an attempted blocker was trying to do to him.
Well, I think that he's probably getting a little tired. Those slot backs take a beating, you know, from those linebackers trying to get off the line of scrimmage. Trying to get back at somebody.
So with time winding down here in the third, the Stampeders, first down. Johnson lost the ball, got it back. And John Gonzalez got to him. And he'll pick up about 3 or 4 yards on the play.
And no double dribble call on the play. It will stand. The ball just comes loose for no apparent reason.
Second down of 5. Into the middle. It goes right off the hands of Dwight Beverly, the intended receiver, and that'll end the third quarter of play here at Taylor Field. So the Stampeders will have to punt it away when we come back at the end of 3. It's Saskatchewan 21 and Calgary 8. We'll return with the fourth quarter in just a moment. And it's not a good kick. He gets a nice bounce out of it, though, and Fran McDermott returns it to the 20-yard line, but it was a wild snap to Harper. He had to take off way to his right to track it down, and it covers 42 yards thanks to a good bounce and a 5-yard return. Statistics after 3 quarters, Saskatchewan opens up a bit of a lead again in the net yardage department. Stampeders have turned the ball over 3 times. Riders with nearly 200 yards. That's only the 3rd time today that Harper has had an opportunity to punt with the wind. The other 10 times were against the wind.
And that time he had such a bad snap to try to handle.
So the Riders first down, and Bobby Johnson takes the handoff from Joe Paupow, and he gets out across the 25 to the 26, a gain of 5 yards on the play.
And to complicate things just a bit more for Calgary, who need 2 converted touchdowns to win this game in the fourth quarter. They have the wind, but now they'll have rain to bother them. It's starting to rain a little bit, and I think it might be increasing.
That was official Ken Pickett, who just got bowled over at the end of that 3rd quarter. Same thing happened to him in a preseason game out in Vancouver that the Stampeders were playing the Lions in. Michael Elarm just made the catch and hung on for a first down at the 33-yard line. In front of Larry Holt and Mel Jenkins. First down, Saskatchewan. Early in the fourth quarter here at Taylor Field, Dale Isaac with Frank Rigney and Al McCann. Hoping you're enjoying this football game this afternoon between the Riders and the Stampeders. And it finishes off the first week of the 1986 season. Bobby Johnson to about the 35, and Belleville is there again to make the tackle. A gain of only a couple on the play. Second down and 8.
Pickup of 2 on the play would be second down, 8 yards to go. Ball was on the 35.
Thrown football, it appeared as Paupow was about 5 yards further downfield with that throw than his receiver. So Calgary, a big turnover at Saskatchewan's 45-yard line.
And Rick Johnson really put a lot on that one. He went right between the hands of Beverly, and Jerry Moulton almost got the ball right back for the Riders. That was the first interception against Paupow this afternoon by Mel Jenkins. Here's another look at Johnson's pass, and he guns it. Second down and 10 from the Saskatchewan 44. Johnson looking for Alexander. The hit is made. Simultaneously, it goes incomplete. Official right there, and Mike Magruder, the new corner on that side, with the good hit.
That's the second time in this ball game that Alexander has looked like he had a reception. The first time, Glenn Suter was the defensive back that jarred it loose. This time, the rookie Magruder.
I think maybe that hand of Alexander's, which he has injured on a couple of occasions in this ball game, may have contributed to the fact he wasn't able to hold on to that pass.
J.T. Hay will be looking to make this only a converted touchdown lead now from 51 yards out.
It is good by J.T. Hay. So with 11:53 remaining in the fourth quarter, it is Saskatchewan 21 and Calgary have arrived at center field. They've been forecasting rain all day long. Actually, the forecast yesterday called for sun in the morning and clouding over in the afternoon, and just pretty well the opposite. It's been cloudy since early this morning, heavy overcast, and a cool day. Riders from their own 35 following a field goal by Hay, and Bobby Johnson brought down by Ken Miller before he got back to the line of scrimmage, and there's a penalty marker down.
Well, what a great play by Miller, because Roger Aldag, number 44, the left offensive guard, watch Aldag go out and put an excellent block on Miller as he comes up to Phil. Actually knocks him down. Miller makes a tackle anyway. Aldag's number 44. Look at that block.
Holding. Saskatchewan number 44.
Well, they called Aldag for grabbing him, too.
Second down.
He still made the tackle. All right.
Well, they take the loss on the play of a yard, so it's 2nd down and 11. Calgary declining the penalty against Roger Aldag. 17 penalties in this ball game. Ball at the Saskatchewan 34. Pow looking for Elgard, and there's a penalty flag down on the far side of the field. Now, Elgard was tied up with a defender over here, but an official on the far side threw his flag, and Derek Zeno indicates it's against Calgary. That certainly happened away from the play. And that'll give the Riders a 2nd down over again and a yard to go from their own 44.
Holding. Calgary number 21. 2nd down repeated.
I'd like to correct myself. When we went into that commercial break, I said with J.T. Hayes' field goal, the Calgary Stampeders would be within a converted touchdown. That, of course, is not so. They were trailing by 13. They still trail by 10. It's 21-11.
And the Riders looking at 2nd and 1 from their own 44. Following the penalty to Ken Miller. Johnson has a 1st down. Jenkins made the stop. The Roughriders get another series to work with from their own 47. And you see most people in the stands bundled up now with their rain gear. $16,937 the attendance here this afternoon. Denny Ferdinand with the football, and he squirts through and across the 50-yard line to about the 51 for a gain of 4. Eric Emery back in there at middle linebacker makes the stop.
Vince Goldsmith, 78.
Denny Ferdinand used in running situations primarily for the Riders, and when they look like they're going to pass, then it's usually David Conrad, number 37, who will line up in that backfield this year alongside Bobby Johnson. Roughriders also have Tim McCray, the former Ottawa Rough Rider, on their reserve list, and he may see action next week. Zeno, the intended receiver, and he couldn't hang on to it.
Well, the Stampeders simply have to start getting something together offensively. They still have 10 minutes remaining in this ball game. But they have been very, very flat offensively for most of this football game. Getting their only major score on a very quick drive right at the end of the 1st half.
Jerry McGrath to punt into the wind. And this may be his worst of the ball game. Short punt taken by Kopp. Penalty marker down. The Riders may get called for no yards. A 20-yard punt. Another penalty marker comes down. Things getting a little testy out there.
Denny Ferdinand taking a bit of a shot at Christiani of the Calgary Stampeders. Back and forth.
Couple of penalties called. 9.5 minutes left. 21-11. Saskatchewan leads it. Penalty situation on that last punt now. The first flag that came down initially was that no yards indication against Saskatchewan, but they waved that off because the player was trying to clear the zone. And then the Stampeders were called for rough play. So that moves the ball back to the Calgary 39-yard line with 9.5 minutes remaining in the ball game. And Saskatchewan in front, 21-11. Rick Johnson, quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders. To roll right. He'll take off with it himself. Goes down with Gary Moten right on top of him at the 46-yard line. The gain will be 7.
Stop made by 58, Gary Malton.
Rick does have that ability to take off with a football, but he's got to learn to put it away a little quicker rather than carrying it out there. He finally does, just before contact.
Peters out over the ball once more. 2nd down and 3. Beverly trying to come around the right side. Eddie Lowe springs it out, and there's a penalty marker down. Looks like Feger got called for holding on Eddie Lowe. A couple of former teammates. James Walker, number 75, also in on the tackle from the inside, but it was really Lowe who strung the play out.
Good call, Dale. I think that's exactly what we're going to hear, the hold against Feger. Brad McDermott looking on for the... If we watch Feger, we'll try to bring it back to you on the telestrator and show you Feger coming from that deep back position. Here's Eddie Lowe, number 42, and he just does a good job of stringing it out. Number 7, Feger definitely holding on the play. I'm going to hold of that jersey, as you can see that 2 disappear.
The Riders accept the penalty and put the ball back at the 36-yard line. 21 penalties now in the ballgame. The blitz is on. Johnson just got the pass away. Completes it to Emmanuel Colbert. What a great throw by Johnson, even though Fran McDermott was blitzing from the halfback spot. Colbert with the catch against Eddie Ray Walker. A 37-yard gain and a penalty marker down after the play.
And for some reason, those two don't like each other. A great throw by Johnson under immense pressure. And Tolbert didn't like the way Walker kicked him out of bounds.
Not a very smart penalty for Eddie Ray there, Frank. Unnecessary extra yardage.
Well, that's absolutely true, Al. That's a huge gain now, all the way down to the 22. Let's listen.
Unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan, number 2. First down.
37 yards on the pass to Tolbert, plus another 15. 52 yards. The Stampeders pick up just like that. They're already at the Saskatchewan 22-yard line. Johnson just getting the pass away. Dwight Beverly on the draw, trying to squirm through the middle, and he gets inside the 20, dives to about the 17-yard line. And it was Gary Moten, the middle linebacker, getting in on the tackle.
Boy, it looked like he might get a lot more out of this than he did. Feger up the middle there, and if he'd have got a piece of Moten, he could have picked up at least 10 yards.
He got 5. It's 2nd down and 5 from the 17.
7:10 now remaining in this 4th quarter. Stamps trail by 10.
Johnson. The tag roll, intercepted by Trent Bryant. He didn't even see it, but he managed to hold on to it and turn the ball over to Saskatchewan. An incredible catch by Trent Bryant.
I don't know if you could call it a catch, Bill. It hit him in the side before he knew it was there. Watch this, a big break for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's not even seeing the ball. Actually hit him in the arm, on the back of the hand, it appeared. And it stayed with him. So once again, a turnover hurting the Calgary Stampeders as they look like they'd at least get within a touchdown.
Pow the draw to Bobby Johnson. Johnson out across the 20-yard line to about the 21. The line of scrimmage, the 12. So he's got a gain of close to 9 on the play. Eric Emery and Ken Miller in on the stop as you take a look at Trent Bryant.
9, 2nd down, and
One of the new corners for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I don't know if he's got good hands, but I know he's got good arms. That ball hit him on the back of the arm.
That's exactly what happened. Get a measurement here on the carry by Johnson. They're a yard short. 2nd down and 1. Six minutes, 55 seconds remaining. Clock is running. Riders 2nd down and 1 from their own 21. Bobby Johnson lined up very deep. Gets to the line of scrimmage, and he'll be close. We may need another measurement here.
Larry Hogue coming up from that defensive backfield spot. Gets inside of Ferdinand's attempted block and backs him up.
Those fans are way up under cover under the roof here on the west side, but you can see the rain falling in the foreground.
Short by that much.
So it'll be third down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Third down.
And they will go for it. Okay, this is a very important part of this football game. The Roughriders, 3rd and inches. Pow keeps it himself. And he should have enough to move the yardstick.
Actually, by not making that on 2nd down, it would have helped the Riders because they've burned another 20 seconds off the clock. We're down to just over 6 minutes now remaining in this 4th quarter.
First and 10, Saskatchewan from their own 23.
Paopao showing his experience using that full 20 seconds to get the ball in play.
Bobby Johnson again. Roughriders playing it safe now to keep that clock running. Allman and Goldsmith team up to bring Bobby Johnson down. The gain will be about a yard. 2nd and 9.
Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd and 8.
You see Rick Goltz, number 63, as well as head coach Jack Goda. Pow. Denny Ferdinand. He'll be stopped well short of the 1st down, and the Roughriders will now have to punt it away. Harold Hallman again getting over there to make the stop.
Hey,
21-11 is the score. Saskatchewan leading Calgary. We have 4:57 remaining in the ball game. Jerry McGrath to punt it away. Tag Rome and Darcy Kopp are the deep men. Short kick. Bounces straight up in the air. Now back towards the line of scrimmage. Tag Rome with it to the Saskatchewan 45-yard line. So the Stampeders, excellent field position with the score. Saskatchewan 21 and Calgary 11. We'll be back in just a moment. 10-point lead for the Roughriders. 4:29 remaining in the 4th quarter, and now the Stampeders have to start doing something on offense, but they have great field position to begin with at the Saskatchewan 45-yard line following a 24-yard kick by Jerry McGrath that bounced back towards the line of scrimmage. Johnson with the straight drop. Marshall Toner makes his first catch of the afternoon. The rookie out of the University of Saskatchewan steps out of bounds at the 37-yard line. The gain is close to 9 on the play, and Toner, of course, such a big factor in preseason. And in the opener against the Eskimos was very effective as well. But here this afternoon, he's been shut out until that one, and I think that is even the first time that Johnson's gone in his direction today. 2nd down and 1. Tag Rome in front of Mike Magruder at the 25-yard line. A 1st down for the Stampeders.
Yeah, one thing that Johnson is doing and doing effectively right now, he's being very patient. He's taking those short patterns underneath the coverage that the Riders are giving him, and this ball game is not over by any means.
Johnson gets away from Walker, throws complete to Beverly, but tracking Beverly down is Billy Jackson for a loss on the play. Back to about the 27, a loss of a yard, yard and a half.
-1 on the play to be 2nd and 11.
Jackson, a part of a very fine linebacking trio of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It includes Gary Moten and Eddie Lowe, and they certainly have been factors here this afternoon. Second down and 11. Johnson goes to Tolbert. He made the catch. Did a great job of hanging on, even though Fran McDermott was all over him at the 20-yard line. So the gain is 6. It'll be third down. 3:02 left. Riders lead by 10. We'll be right back. J.T. Hay is out there, and he'll be trying a 27-yard field goal to cut the Saskatchewan lead to 7 points. There you see the time remaining here in the ball game. The season opener for Saskatchewan, game number 2 of the young 1986 season for the Stampeders. J.T. Hay is connected on a 51-yarder earlier in the game. Now it'll be 27-yard attempt with Rick Johnson doing the holding. Here's the kick. It is good. So now Saskatchewan's lead is 21-14 with just under 3 minutes left. To announce for you immediately following this football game. And we have 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Riders from their own 35, first down. Bobby Johnson, the handoff from Joe Pow, and he has a couple, maybe 3 yards on the play. Again, Harold Hallman was there along with Anthony Woodson.
Dale, I know Saskatchewan fans would likely not agree, but there might be poetic justice if Calgary could score on the last play of this game and get a 2-point convert to win by 1.
Now, Al, if they actually did score, do you think they'd try it for a 2-point conversion?
That'd be very interesting, yeah.
Second down and 7. Pow looking for Bobby Johnson. Gets past Satelli and has a first down out at the 48-yard line.
Well, a very, very important first down for the Riders as they retain possession, and there's still 2:24 remaining in this ball game. Calgary's got to take it away from him.
Emery and Jenkins teamed up to bring Johnson down after he had slipped past Satelli to pick up enough for the first at the 48-yard line for the Riders. Again, it's Bobby Johnson, and he pops it. Mel Jenkins brings him down at the Calgary 45. A pickup of 17 yards for Bobby Johnson.
Well, Dale, you talked about before the ball game that Bobby Johnson's been inserted into that lineup to get a better running attack than the Riders have seen in the last 2 or 3 years. Very significant at this part of the game for sure.
.145 left. The Riders first down at the Calgary 45. Denny Ferdinand. He squirms through for a gain of 8 yards down to the Calgary 37. And it was Anthony Woodson again, the linebacker, making the tackle.
Well, this is just a great job by the offensive line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Calgary knows that they prefer to keep it on the ground and are stacked in there defensively, but the Rider Big O is kicking them out.
The Riders now have rushed for 120 yards in the ball game. Bobby Johnson has over 80 of them himself. 83 to be exact. Ferdinand just picked up about 8. Second down and 2. Johnson with the pitch going wide. Anthony Woodson in the opening field does a good job of bringing Johnson down after it looked like Johnson had given them the move and put him out of the play.
That was the same sort of move he made on Ken Miller to score the touchdown in this ball game. Woodson picked him off. They're going to be short, I believe, but by very, very little.
We're getting a measurement way over on the far side of the field, and the Roughriders are just short. It'll be third down, and they'll go for it here with 1:14 left as they will try to run this clock completely out. And they've done a good job of this in this last drive here. Stampeders after today get a break. Their next action Thursday, July 10th in Ottawa. Then they're at home on Friday the 18th against Ken Hobart, the Hamilton Tiger Cats at McMahon. Pow keeps. Should have enough for the first down. And the Roughriders should be able to run out the rest now.
Well, this has been a very impressive drive, Dale, because as we said, the Calgary Stampeders know Saskatchewan want to keep the ball on their ground, and they just not being able to do anything about it.
1st and 10, Riders at the Stampeder 34. The clock is running now, and we have 1 minute left in the ball game. That's Ferdinand in the backfield going in motion. The pitch left to Bobby Johnson. Turns the corner with a good burst of speed. Bobby Johnson to the 10-yard line. It's been a long time since I've seen a Saskatchewan Roughrider football team run the ball like this. A gain of 24. That'll put Johnson over 100 yards rushing.
Hey, Dale, it's been a long time since we've seen any Canadian Football League team put a drive together on the ground as impressive as this one is. The first down will be at the 10-yard line of the Calgary Stampeders.
Riders at the Saskatchewan 10. Again, it's Bobby Johnson. Good blocking up front. Johnson's in the inside the 5. Where it'll be second down with 22 seconds left. Making the tackle, Eric Emery.
Ken Miller down on the field there, the injured Calgary Stampeder, but once again, that quick pitch with Neil Quilter, 65, leading the way around the left side. And I think we should mention one last time that offensive line of the Riders who have done such an outstanding job. Mike Anderson at center, Quilter and Aldag at guards, and Stevenson and Stelrud. The offensive tackles, they've done an excellent job here, particularly late in the fourth quarter.
You're absolutely right about that. As you look at Ken Miller, the player is shaken up. Derek Zeno out there waving his arms, and this crowd is loving it. And there's no doubt that they would like to see another touchdown scored, and I'm sure Roughriders would love to score another one and really send these folks home happy and get them back here for the next home game, which is against Edmonton in a couple of weeks. And have them bring a friend along because there's a lot of empty seats here today.
Well, the Riders face the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Winnipeg on the 5th of July. Before that, 12th of July date with the Eskimos. And they got a little bit to cheer about here at Taylor Field.
Long-suffering fans, 9 straight years out of the playoffs, this football team. Again, it's Bobby Johnson going wide. And he'll be stopped short, and we'll have time for one more play. He got about to the 2-yard line, and then he was pushed back by 2 or 3 Stampeders. Satelli leading the way again, and he's been a busy man this afternoon for Calgary.
Well, we don't want to take any credit away from Johnson, but it's been that big offensive line that's done the job of keeping possession of the football for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And just 8 seconds so on the clock now.
Calgary Stampeders have called a timeout as we get a measurement here. The Roughriders could conceivably get a first down without getting a touchdown, but we really don't have maybe time for 2 plays, but that's about it. And that might be stretching it. The clock is stopped with 8 seconds left. This crowd really wants another score.
Well, points for and against could come into play at some point.
That's the score right now is 21-14. I think that's the first time today that song has been played, Rider Pride. I didn't know if they would resurrect that again this year or not, with the way things have been going. Yeah. It is a 7-point lead for the Riders, 21-14 with just 8 seconds left. Okay, here it is. Roughriders, 3rd down. From about the 1-yard line. And it's less than a yard to go for the first. Bobby Johnson going wide. Touchdown. His 2nd touchdown of the ball game. He may have to go buy his offensive line lunch or dinner after this, Frank.
I'll tell you, just an outstanding job of blocking in the whole last 5 minutes of this ball game, as Saskatchewan just totally kept the ball away from the Calgary Stampeders, driving against the wind, putting it right on the ground. Great block by Denny Ferdinand on the play. Johnson walks in with his second touchdown of the afternoon.
So we'll have Dave Ridgway's convert, and then we will have a kickoff because there's still 3 seconds left to play in the ball game. And, of course, clock does not run at all on a convert attempt. So the Roughriders will have to kick off, and they lead it 28-14.
Okay, Warren, go on this side.
There's the scoring drive, and a very impressive one for the Roughriders. 75-yard march, 10 plays, and Johnson puts it in the end zone, his second touchdown of the afternoon. And I suppose if you're going to move the ball 75 yards, 10 plays is probably a great number to have it at, because anything more than 10, a lot of coaches will tell you that's when mistakes start happening, is if you get over 10 plays in a drive. And they kept it on the ground and moved it all the way down the field, much to the displeasure of Bobby V.
Well, I'm sure defensive coordinator Rich Ellerson of the Stampeders is a little shocked. I don't think he felt that a ball club could run against his defense that effectively.
Not after what we saw Tuesday against Edmonton. Have to be a bit surprised at that. So we'll have the kickoff, and it's Jerry McGrath kicking off for the Roughriders. Clock starts only when Darcy Kopp makes contact with the football, and he immediately threw it out of bounds and stopped the clock again with 1 second left.
I don't know what good that's going to do. You're 14 points behind with 1 second to go.
Calgary, first down from the flag.
So that just delays the conclusion of this football game just a touch more. Time for one more play. And I know that Jack Goda is one happy man.
Well, after all the turmoil that's occurred here over the last few weeks, Dale, it's great to see the Riders come up with a victory.
Johnson unloading. Rider defensive backs are way back there the way Stampeders should have been last Tuesday night, and it's Mike Magruder with the interception to end the ball game. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders open the 1986 season with a victory over the Calgary Stampeders, 28-14. As you take a look at the final statistics, the Roughriders with 306 net yards, the Calgary's 236, and the edge in first downs. Turnovers, again, a key factor, 5 turnovers against the Stampeders. And so with the final score, Saskatchewan 28 and Calgary 14, the CFL on CTV will continue in just a moment.